Hello, this is Gerald Tuavas. Letters in words really pushes you into a certain direction, and maybe you can try to interpret them as a bit differently, that they also mean something else than that what they actually mean. They are quite compelling and directing and confining the limits of the words themselves by the order of letters that is there. So there is an expression in there, there's an ability in there are directions in there, and these are not just subjective to very open interpretation, they are also limited at the same time as they have a certain abilities that you can interpret a little bit. You're also limiting your directions at the same time, and I will have a very good example for this with the word believe, or believe also as a verb, and I will use this as an example to show you how much letters direct you from the letters themselves. Every letter has positions in time and space context, which I figured out by using also a lot of associations with it, numerology, geometry, all these things and all the angles that show the same kind of elements brought me to a theory that shows you how much each letter has a certain position in time and space context, and they build up. It's like a distinction into a 1, 2, 3 rule actually, where the coordinates of points, the directions in time, or the orientations in the time and space movements can be defined in all of the positions that are possible into these three categories where the letters will fit in. And I always compare it as a form of communication, of a form of a learning process, which we also act upon in language, and we deal with a choice of words and of positions and interpretations. That is my point of view, and we go towards some other point of view, a suggestive vision of how things can change and can progress and so on. And this setting is quite helpful to also realize, which direction are we really thinking, in which direction also the letters are going to. The letters that are recognized in very short moments in time, so short that you can have them in one moment alone, they are the distinctions of the first category in the direction, the points in space. If we really need a bit more time to see, okay, what's going on, we follow up the directions in a time setting, and when that is also not possible, we try to figure out what is the general influence of a certain sound over a word, the kind of vibrations that are surrounding us, what is the influence, and what are we going to pay attention in that case. These three categories will be used in my theory. But let's go to the letters that we can use: the B, the E, the L, the I, the E, and the F for the word belief. And then we continue with the belief verbal application. Where does it start? The belief system, or the belief as a direction of thoughts, starts underneath in the first category with the letter B. B is about our main focus, our starting point, a starting point where we notice in the forms a certain progression, as something that becomes bigger, becomes apparent, and that kind of thing. So we see that, we notice these kind of things. They are at the edge of what our conclusions, of what we see before us, and so they are also into the direction of the other. So into the direction of that is a suggestion that it will leave you, or will lead you to something else, to something like with a B, bigger than yourself. So that's what your main focus is. That's where we start from. But mainly it is seeing what makes a difference. It goes towards the differences in size, in form, with something that is more apparent than we expect as our starting point. It's a progression towards something else, to what is different from our starting point of view, towards the other, with towards that suggestive field that maybe at some point it will be different, it will become different. With BE is also used for becoming, by the way. So what happens actually is we're looking at the edge of what we are towards the other and see actually what is different there actually. So we're still having a focus upon that frame with the letter B and A together. But it goes towards the letter L. L is that again, confirmation that this growing part is about a form that is forming itself. So what is formed actually there and what is becoming there? It has grown out of its proportions with B towards L. It has taken on a shape. And with the next, that's the first part. So then we have the next part is this Eve. The E is about from the last category. It's more the frame that you're going to see. Okay, what we're going to pay attention to in a selective way. So we're going to do that with the E in a selective way. Let's see in this case what will be the selection. What has been grown, of course. What is growing? What is more? What is more? And what makes a selective different for me? And then with the last letter, the F, it shows you the directions, all the directions it can lead to, and it can lead to a different context. It can lead to somewhere else. So where does this lead to? I have a selection and so on. Where does it lead to? This is the basis of the letters. Later on, I will explain you the context, how you can use it in a certain context, this kind of thinking, and where does it start from, where does it end, and so on, and where does it lead to. But it is about a whole range of possibilities with the letter F that you can see, okay, where does this lead to, and what is going to make a change also. Because it's a longer way of, it's new, and it can bring something new maybe over a certain time. But never forget where that starts from. Is that really about how something else, how the other thing is making itself bigger or growing itself bigger? Is it really about, yes, I'm focusing upon the other completely and I can gain something for myself? To realize what is really happening in that word, we have to realize once again, where do we start from? Where did we start from this word and from the associations that can come forth from it? Our starting point is my vision, my pick out of what I notice. My starting point is my main focus. And this main focus will focus upon, the differences that can be made up for yourself. So where will I gain here? So it's not just I'm looking at to the others, it's also looking for something that will gain something for your point of view. It can be an enrichment, of course, that's also one of the possibilities, but it's focusing upon that thing and from that vision. Of course, with the selective procedure on top with the Eve at the end, there will be a selective procedure that you will say, okay, I will also look from the B point of view, what I can use from it, what I can select from it. And so that you see that there is a kind of idealistic idea that actually still starts from what you are and what you can become. This selection, which will happen in B, E, L, E, I, A, and F, is a progression. It's almost physical. It goes towards that progressive selection in E. If you continue to do that instead of F, seeing all the possibilities that can come forth for it, with V, you really give it a go. Because V is about selecting the material and reselecting it and finding a time and place for it that will suit and that will fit. So you will have that selection to displace the material. To displace the material, ending with A, towards what can happen with it, what can change with it, and so on. So you look at what can make a difference and what can and how, where will it lead to, and what will be changed then on its way. So you look upon the things that change. With F, of course, also find all the kind of directions. What is possible to change? What could change? What could change the place and time settings, the framing of the placements and the timings, what could change and what could change the positions of the material towards something else. It's the same thing as almost like saying like, what are the opportunities that I can get from here? And that will make us again realize, where does this come from, this belief system? What is the inspiration of belief, the real essence of that and the possibilities of that? I had a small conversation it was on Facebook as well. There's someone who said to me, yeah, but belief, that's a relationship. That was when someone was confronted with something which was like a relic, which was proven not to be a real one from 2000 years ago, and he said, yeah, but it's we still have a belief system, and belief is a relationship. So despite that it's not real, this relationship, as if he was saying that, this relationship still matters. It makes a relationship, and this makes it something strong. And I'm going to take that idea. Is belief really about a relationship, or is a relationship involved? But is that strengthened also, that relationship? Or are we going to pass that relationship and make something else from it? Let's have a look what the letters themselves pushes your mind into when we use the word belief. We start from what is before us, what we know, because it starts with the letter B. And that is, of course, related when we project that from B to L to see how far can something grow out of its proportions. This growth itself is also almost like something physical. Something grows out of my limitations, maybe even, so that I can reach the other. It's growing out of my limitations. A B, there's a whole study from Ibn Arabi I have talked about in my book as well, that talks only about the letter B, and he sees it as a spiritual letter, because then from there onwards, from the lowest point, you can grow towards what is bigger. Okay, I can understand that, but still it's a viewpoint from what you are, from what you know, and in a certain way you do not know what's bigger than you, so you have to grow towards it. And that's potentially something that you can say, okay, that's there, and here you give with the attention to, but what is really growing there in the other? And that makes me realize also the other words with the first three letters. Belle, you have this French word belle, which means beautiful, which you say about someone else, about a person, which looks nice, and so on. And it's also that kind of opinion. You start from you to comparing it from you to someone else, and it's a bit bigger, a bit better, and it looks nice. You see it progress in a physical way. Belle There's another word which is the sound of the bell, of course, also that sound elsewhere. So it has that relationship that we reflect to what we hear somewhere else, what reflects somewhere else as well, but also what that has a certain shape elsewhere. So here the shape is growing, it's better, bigger, beautiful, all with a B, and so on. But it's still related to our own projection of foundations and to see how far we can grow from there. So until here it is indeed still a certain relationship. But what's that relationship? It starts from my viewpoint. So I have a viewpoint. I think that one that is beautiful is my viewpoint. It's not that it is beautiful. I think it is beautiful, or it resonates in the bell. I can hear it. I can sense it. It's there somewhere else. It's bigger than the normal general sound that is there. But so I check what is there, and that what I check there is growing bigger. Until here, it's quite positive. It could be something quite positive. Not that it is 100% always positive with the sound B-E-L together, because bell, I think it also has a reference to conflict and to a conflict zone as well, where also the things are growing bigger and get out of hand. So positive and negative you cannot say, but it's that kind of attention with bell. And then you deal also with what is different, what is changing, and what is the other. So far so good. So that's already a kind of a progression. And in general, actually with this bell, you say, okay, I notice that you are slightly, I see something progressed. And it's even more of a progression, which with the letter E actually also says, let's make a selection there. What is really progressing then? What do I see that is already different from my starting point with the letter E? It is that selective frame where you see, okay, let's see what makes a difference. What makes it different? So you are different by this selection with belly. And with belly, with a longer it is even saying, okay, what are the differences? What will really make a difference? What is the range of the frame that I can see what makes a difference? So until here, it could still be something very positive. The letter F leaves it a little bit open, because F is the last letter of the directions. It's the three directions in three different directions as well of the category, of the second category of directions, where it says, okay, I can see a couple of directions. Let's see which one fits me best. Actually, it is a little bit like that. You make a selection so that you can give it in the end also a new context, a new purpose, and so on. And it will select also a certain destiny as well. So you have certain selections of directions that can make a difference, a whole range of where it will end into. So it gives you a few opportunities as well. And either way, it's also it goes further from the person itself, where you see the changes. So you also see, project it towards somewhere else, where you almost see it idealistically, in a way like, okay, let's see what it can become, how far it can become, in which direction it can become something, and so in which directions can make a difference. That's belief in a very simple way explained from the letter positions. Believe as a verb with the VE gives it even more directions and give these directions a place. The letter V is about finding a place and timing, placement and timing of the material that has an interchange, but an interchange that has an effect on you, that you want something and then you get something. This when all these things matter, then you see where this will fit, where these things will fit. But it also means that you will add a context there. According to a context, you can reorganize all your material reorganizations in time and place, and then you can give it something extra. But you can also give it a different story, a different time, a different place. What does that mean? Is this word, what we are analyzing at this point, really about a relation? At this point, when you believe something, it's already no longer just a relation, it becomes a projection, because you're going to give it a destiny of your own. Why do I say of your own? Not just from, it goes, look into the other. What is the other? What is the unknown? What is not known yet? And so what has grown out of you, which is bigger than yourself, and so on. All these directions that it can be. Isn't that the future that it will give to you? No, it's the future that you already are giving a place. Because with the VE, your reorganization, you're giving this reorganization and so on. And is it then the other that gives this a relation, or is it you that gives this a relationship? I will explain again. What is our starting point here? What's the starting point? Are we seeing what kind of relationship this can give to us? No, we're going to see what is this relationship that we have, what is it doing for us? So that's a different view. It's your viewpoint, it's your progress, it's your learning process alone that is going to be enhanced at this point with the B and then the L. You project it already from the first time immediately to the other, and then you see, okay, what kind of progress can I see? First, very neutral, what kind of progress do I see? And what works for my progress, because here with the E I'm going to select it also, what works and what does not work, and I only select what works. And then you have all these possibilities with the F first, so the directions that it can have, and with the V it will give it give you a viewpoint of what can be these possibilities, which basically still are the possibilities of what you see in the other. But you cannot see at that point that what it really is, because it's leading to something else. The V and E brings you out of focus, it completely follows up the progress afterwards, and you do not see where it leads to. I'll give you examples how this works in reality, and you can think about it, how this works in the system of the belief system as well. Yes, so you project it towards the other, but you do not see where it leads to, will also very easily leads you to project also that idea, that you give it yourself an idea, and you easily will also even if you fill that in, you will be lying to yourself, because you think that what it can be made from it, and from all the things that are not even there yet, and where it can become something different, you have in no way a possibility to see what that will be, what that will become. So, and it's most progressive or positive, if you like, and it's an inspiration if you see it from your point of view, what it will work for you, so you can project what these ideas, what will work for me. But as a relationship, as strengthening relationships, it's not about this. It's about this projection that you can use positively, or you can even lie to yourself and think that you already see what's going to become from it in a positive way, which you can't. It's a projection to see, what do I see? And then you go towards a future, and that's the kind of direction. But what there is at the end is something of the unknown. I hope this brought you closer to the meaningfulness of a word. what are the possibilities of also even that within a word, of the inspirations that are embedded in that word already, that have a pushing forward of ideas in it that are related to the word itself with a capital. And that's what my theory is also about. Realize what are the words with capitals, how the word with capital works. Wherever that comes from, it's a system that has a life on its own, and it has a life inspiring thing that is the same for people who believe in anything or doesn't believe in anything at all. The truth is the same for everybody. So if you lie to yourself, oh, it will bring me that, you do not know. But everybody can know, okay, what am I projecting? What am I projecting to see what is progressing and what is not? That's something which is the same reality for everybody. And that's the reality where the word is about. That kind of reality is the same for everyone. Thanks again for watching. Bye.